Alright, in this one I'm going to be talking about my job again. I feel like I've made a bunch of job casts, but I don't know, I think the ones I've made before were what, like complaining about coworkers, like our former purchasing person who just took forever to ever get me a PO, or I talked about my position itself and what I do and stuff like that. So yeah, this one's a little bit different. It's more kind of like company as a whole, and that reminds me too, I think I talked about the plant office divide that we have, but yeah, this one's more like the company as a whole and kind of like my position, not my job position, just my personal position on what I think about things and stuff. So anyways, basically what it is I've been mildly thinking about leaving my job. I say mildly because I haven't put any effort in to actually like find a different job. I haven't applied to anything. I haven't nothing. I haven't gone on LinkedIn and said I'm searching for a job and just subtly seen if any offers come in. Like, I haven't done any of that, so I'm putting in no effort to find a job. It's just I've been thinking about it, and that's what I wanted to talk about in this, is why I'm thinking about leaving my job, basically. And the reason I'm not putting in too much effort is because it's kind of like it's almost like an even split on how I feel about things. Like, on one hand, there are a lot of things I actually do like about the job, which is why I want to stay. But on the other hand, there are those things that I don't like, which is why I want to leave. And then it's weird because on the don't like side of things, it's kind of layered. There's like the basic don't likes, and then there's like more deeper don't likes. So then it's like, well, that actually sounds like the don't like should be winning. But I don't know, like the likes are kind of winning. And I think the likes are winning just because in comparison to how my life has been, the likes are good. So anyways, I'm just going to get into it. I'll start with the likes. So what I like about my job. First thing, probably by far the easiest first thing I like is I make the most money now that I've ever made in my life. So far for my whole entire adult life, I've always had to work 2 jobs because I never made enough not to. And so it's pretty awesome now. I finally have a job where I make enough money that I can survive on the one job. Yeah, I'm not living great. I'm not living how I would like to live by any means. It's not like I have a nice husky savings account. I don't have the sexiest car. I don't even have a house. I have an apartment. And it's a small apartment. So, it's not like I'm living luxuriously. But at least that's what I had before as well when I was working 2 jobs. So at least now I can handle all this with 1 job. So it's, it feels a little better. Instead of going to work and then having to run home and change to go to my second job, I get to go home and just dick around and do whatever, relax, especially on the days I don't have my daughter. Not like her and I are doing crazy stuff on the days she is with me, but there's that responsibility side that I still have to have. I mean, I got a kid with me, versus when I'm by myself, it's just me. Who cares? But yeah, so like that's really good and awesome, and I like that. And I know that this is only gonna bring positivity moving forward. Like, if I were to job search where I'm at now, this is like my new benchmark. So if I apply to places, I can reasonably ask for something higher. Like before, when I asked for something higher, it was like a stretch. I didn't have it yet, so I'd really have to justify. But now it's like, well, this is where I'm at now. I'm not going to take anything lower. But also, if I'm going to leave a company, I want to get a boost as well. So then that's how I can justify, say, asking for $10,000 more than I make now. Even, then it's justifiable. And also, with my position I have now, again, I've always felt like I was like entry to mid-level, but now I feel like I'm, what do they call it after, late level? I don't know. But like, I feel like now I can ask for like managerial positions or whatever, because I'm not really like managerial at my company, but I manage myself and everything that comes along with what I need to do. I'm project manager, I'm designer, I'm everything. I deal with the vendors that I have to deal with. I deal with various other staff within the company. Like, I kind of have enough skills to pitch, like, to be, to move forward. I'd be able to still be like a top guy, if you will. I no longer have to like say, I'm entry level, I'm mid level, like I used to do. Now I can apply to those better jobs. So it's like, there's that as well. Like, that's kind of cool. I'm in a new level of career. But yeah, those things kind of just all, even though it sounded like 3 items, they're basically all the same thing, just lumped together in one cumulative number 1 item. Number 2 thing that I like is, this one's gonna sound goofy on the surface, but when I explain it, it'll make sense. It's that my job's actually very close to home, and I think it's even closer to where my daughter lives than it is from where I live. Like, so basically it's in the middle between where I live and my daughter's mother lives, but I think it's closer to where she lives than it is to me, which, like I said, on the surface sounds goofy, but for too long I've had jobs that were very far. My last main job that I was at for 3.5 years, at the time it was great. It was a really good company. It was awesome. You got regular raises and all that. They used to do bonuses, and then they gave that up. Oh, well, there was a study that says that employees prefer higher base wages than yearly bonuses. And it's like, okay, I mean, I guess you have a point. Yeah, we do prefer higher base wages, but at the same time, we like the bonuses too. I mean, come on, a couple $1,000s just for no reason at the end of the year is always handy. Rather than spread that out over the year, what do you get per week? $50 in extra in your check? Like, that's not as fun. But anyway, the money was way better than what I was getting. So my last company before this company, the one I left to go to this company, it's getting confusing when you don't know. Let's say this company that I'm talking about now is company Y. So company X that I started at, when I left there, I was only making $14.75 an hour, which I thought was very disappointing. I'm like, geez, I went to college so I could make only $14.75. I mean, during those days, minimum wage was, I think, $9 an hour. So yeah, I was getting 50% more than minimum wage, but it was like, I didn't go to college to make 50% more than minimum. I went to college so I could make like 4 times minimum, 5 times minimum. What the heck? But anyway, I left there at 14. I started at 14. Getting up to 14.75 was raises over the years. But anyway, so when I left there and went to the other company, they started me at $26.50. So it was like, holy crap, like that was a huge boost for me during that time. And it was like, yeah, this is a no-brainer. I'm going to take this. So the distance I hated, but the money was way better. It still wasn't where I needed to be. I still was working 2 jobs, but it obviously helped to be getting that huge of a boost in my pay. But anyways, so how far was the company? On a good day, it was like 80 minutes from home. I say on a good day because there was sometimes that it would take 2 hours. It wasn't very often. It was, I think, 2-3 times that it took me 2 hours to get to work in the morning. And that was just because of traffic and stuff. It was just so backed up. We weren't moving. Took 2 mother effing hours. Luckily, that company was super lenient on your hours, though, so it's not like I was ever late. Like, you know what I mean? I didn't have to worry about being late because there was no such thing as late. It was an honor system. Just whenever you show up, stay, do your 8 hours, and leave. So, say I was aiming to get to work one day for 8, but because of traffic, I showed up at 8:30. It doesn't matter. It only affects me. Like, I know that I got to work later than I would have liked to, but as far as the company's concerned, it don't matter. I'm still there. As long as I leave by 4:30, 5 o'clock, I'm fine. I put in my time. And the reason that they were so lenient like that, too, is because, it was a huge company. We were massive, global. There's like a plant practically in every country. We had one in Mexico, one in Belgium, one in China, obviously, one in somewhere close to China. It was Thailand. One in Thailand. There was one in, where else did they have a plant? I'm trying to think of all the places that they all went to for business trips. And I always wished I could be one of the guys to go, and I never was. But all those places would have been cool to visit. But yeah, did I say Mexico? There was one in Mexico. There was tons of plants, and I think our location itself, we had to have had, over 500 employees easily, and that was just my building. We had 2 buildings at the place at the location I was at, and just my building had to have over 500. I mean, come on, I'm thinking about my little quadrant that I sat in. There was what? How many people per row? 4 and 3, 1, 2, 3, 4 rows, 3 rows, 1, 2, 3 rows. Yeah, that's 12 people right there, just in that small quadrant where we sat. And there was, I don't know how deep those quadrants ran. we probably easily had 125 people just sitting in one quadrant. And then there was 3 floors, two wings. So 125, 250 times 3 floors. So that's 750 people right there, just one building. Plus there was the other building. Now the other building was a lot smaller. That one probably had maybe 100, 125 people total. But still, so you're actually looking like at 1,000 people just at my plant. And then, like I said, it's worldwide. So overall, tons of employees with this company. But anyways, the other thing is, a lot of these employees came from all over the place. So it was located in Eastern Mass. And we had people that came from New Hampshire, some people from Vermont. There was me. Granted, I wasn't as extremely far as these people, but it was still a long enough ride for me. So, that was the thing. Like, they understood that not everybody was super local. Yeah, there were some local people. There was 2 people that were ridiculously local. One of them was actually within my direct team, and I think he lived, what'd they say, like 3 minutes by car. Like, he's literally just right down the street. But not all of us were like that. Even some other people that were more local than me, they still had a half hour, 45-minute ride. So I think that's kind of why the company just had that policy. Just show up whenever you get here and do your time. But anyways, yes. So at that time, the money was great, and I liked the job. I liked the people I worked with. It was a pretty cool company. And yeah, just a cool company in general, actually. We had a cafeteria that was open up until 2, I think. So that you could get breakfast, lunch, and then it closed at 2. But still, they had huge variety of food all day. Breakfast, you can get hot breakfast, cold breakfast, lunch. There was tons of lunch options, and huge like seating area if you wanted to eat there. I usually just took it back to my desk, but if you want to sit there, it was basically like a restaurant in our company. From what I understand too, the chef was like a 2-star chef. Now I don't know if he was 2-star like the Michelin rating, like that movie Burnt, where Bradley Cooper's character is trying to get his 3rd star, which means that he's a super good chef. So I don't know if it was 2-star like that, or if they meant 2-star like he came from 2-star restaurants, which would mean like, what is that, like Friendly's? He was a chef for Friendly's or something kind of basic. I don't know. It was something they brought up though, like it was cool. So maybe it meant he was a 2-star Michelin chef. But that's actually where I discovered jambalaya as well. I always heard of it, but I never tried it because I thought it was gross. And then one day they had it for lunch. It was $7, and I was like, you know what? $7 isn't bad. I'm going to try this and see how it is. And it's awesome. Jambalaya is awesome. Easily one of my favorite foods now. And I discovered it because of that company. But anyways, going on a weird tangent here. My whole point is it was far, though, and I hated it. 80 minutes, an hour and a half, 80, 90 minutes. It would take to get there, to get home. If you're looking at 3 hours a day just driving. So I'd work 8 hours plus 3 hours driving, 11 hours of my day just shot for work-related purposes. And then, since I was working 2 jobs, there's days where I would, get home, quickly get changed. Like I'd get home like 5:30, get changed, and then head out so I could go to my next job at 6. And then work until 10. I was closing, but I didn't get out at 10 because since it was closing, I still had to count my draw, finish cleaning up and everything. So yeah, I never left until 10:30, sometimes 11. And so those days kind of sucked. I was ridiculously busy. And my second job was trash during those days too. Like I only worked where I was working because that's all I could find. I applied to tons of places and nobody hired me. Nobody even gave me an interview, call back, nothing. Then I applied to this one place that I worked at back in the day when I was in high school, and just by weird random chance, the store manager that was there when I was there again. They weren't there when I quit the last time. We had a different store manager, but then they were back, recognized my name, gave me a call, and they're like, is this the one that I know? And I was like, yep, that's me. And so I got hired because of that. And so that's why I was there. I was like, well, this isn't really ideal, but I guess it works. But yeah, the pay sucks. The owner of that company was a piece of trash. He didn't care about anyone or anything but himself. And so that was a waste of my time working there. And I knew it. I knew it all along, but I was like, what else am I going to do? I tried to apply to other places and it failed. I mean, I guess I could try again, but I'm like, I'm already here. I might as well just whatever. This is only a side job. It's not like it's my main thing. If it was my main thing, yeah, I'd definitely be looking for something else, but it's not. So I'm like, whatever. I'll just deal with it. But yeah, those days sucked because of all that. The other thing that kind of sucks too about that job being far is my Cadillac. I made the T4Cast talk about that. It was one of the early ones, episode 3 or 4 or something like that. And I feel like it ended up dying mostly because of that job. Just driving so far for 3.5 years straight, it just ran it down. I mean, I didn't drive crazy or like a dickhead or anything. I never do. So it's not like I really beat on the engine, but you know, all those miles and driving it 3 hours a day every single day. I mean, I was going through oil changes like nobody's business, you know. I mean, my car was running full synth, so I didn't really need to do oil changes for like every 10,000 miles, but still I was putting on 100 miles a day, so those 10,000 racked up quickly. So yeah, it's so much better to get out of that situation and not have to drive super far anymore. Now my job is just down the street, basically. It's like 15 minutes back roads, 10 minutes if I take the highway. Like, not bad. And then from my job to my to where my daughter's mother lives, that's like 10 minutes, just about 10, 12 minutes. It depends on how many lights I hit, how much traffic there is, if the people are driving slow. If I get a nice clean straightaway though, it's easily like 10 minutes to get there. All back road. There is really no highway option. There is, but it'd be dumb to take the highway because it doesn't make sense. It's literally one exit, so I'm not really saving any time to take the highway. And I'd have to backtrack to get on the highway, so you know, it'd just be weird. But yeah, anyways, speaking of getting her, in comparison to what it used to be, I'd have to do that whole hour and a half-ish ride just to get back to town, then take the highway, and it was about another probably like 15 minutes before I could get to my daughter's mother's. So yeah, that really sucked. Actually, there was times way before that when she was being a B-word, and I'd have to go to her mom's. That was like a 25-minute ride from getting back to town plus another 25 minutes. So if it was like an hour and a half, you're looking at 2 hours driving total just to get from work back to town to be able to get my daughter, and then I still have to drive home another half hour there. So like 2.5 hours driving from work to picking her up to getting home finally. Like, that sucked. So it's so great now to only have to do a 10-minute ride down the street, and then, you know, 25 half hour ride total from her mom's to home, basically, let's say. Not bad compared to what it was. The other thing is, not only did I do that for 3.5 years, but then afterwards, I got a job that was only short-lived. I was only there from May until December, which is when I started at the company I'm with now. But that one was kind of far too. Not nearly as bad, but it was like 45 minutes. So that mildly sucked as well. 45 minutes every day. Going down, coming back. That's what, an hour and a half driving just for work? And what was possibly even worse is I made less money at that company than my last one. So I'm still traveling, not as much, but still traveling for less money, and then again, when I had my daughter, it was like I'd have to do the 45 minutes just to get back to town, plus the 15 minutes or so to go get her. So granted, an hour total driving isn't as bad as 2 hours, but still. So again, 10 minutes down the street is fantastic. And like, that's what I get worried about if I were to leave this company. I'm like, I don't think I'm going to find anything good that's local. Because where I live is kind of like a small little mom and pop type town. There's nothing really big around. There's nothing that's going to pay me. I would have to travel if I wanted to get paid. Like, the only reason I even make as much as I do where I'm at now is just circumstantial. They started paying me dick money. When I first started, yeah, I wasn't making very good. And I was still working 2 jobs. But what happened was, you had the previous chief engineer. He went to be the plant manager. And then, so he was still there kind of for me. Plus he was plant manager. But then he left. So then they needed a new plant manager. So then basically what happened is, I think they 60-40'd his salary with me and then the new plant manager. So they took his salary, gave the plant manager, which was somebody that we already had, so he got promoted. They gave him like 60% of the previous plant manager's salary, and gave me 40% of it. And so that's why I ended up getting I make a decent enough amount of money now, because you know, he was doing okay. I mean, he was with the company for 30 years, so he was doing okay. So a 60-40 split off of what he was getting was, a pretty decent amount of money. I mean, when the owner of the company told me what kind of boost he was going to give me, I was like, what? Like, I questioned it. Like, he told me the amount, and I was like, what's that, per month? And he's like, no, that's per week. And I was like, per week? I didn't really say it like that. I just said it in my head, but I was like, what? That's the boost I'm getting? I was like, all right, that sounds fantastic. And then basically, I didn't quit my second job after that, but after I got that boost, I was like, man, I do not need this stupid job anymore. So I basically just, half-butted it. Didn't really put too much effort in. I didn't care anymore. I didn't need to care. I just got a huge boost. I don't need a second job anymore. But yeah, that's really the only reason why I got that. If he never quit, I wouldn't have gotten a good boost. I'd still be making crap money, still needing a second job. But, yeah. So, how did I even get back to money? I was talking about drive time. Oh yeah, that's why I was talking about money again. So I was just saying to my company that if I wanted to find another decent paying place, I'd probably have to travel. So that's something that I'm worried about if I do leave. See, it's one of the things that I think about that keeps me there. Well, two of them. Where would I have to travel to? I don't want to travel again. I know I put the money as number one because obviously that's what we work for. But at the same time, traveling sucked. I don't want to do that again. Like, it's one thing if it's one-off. You got to take a long business trip somewhere. Okay, fine. Like, that sucks too, but at least it's just one-off. But every day? Ugh. Anyways, moving on. The third thing I like is the products that we make end up in stores. And, it's cool to be able to go to the store and find something that I worked on. And be like, hey, I know the history on this thing. I know everything that went into this whole entire design process, from starting with, the customer contacting us, to us building a relationship, to me designing it, to it getting built, to here it is in the store. It's cool. Now, granted, we largely, like 97.5% make stuff for cosmetics. Oh yeah, stupid coughing. So, the stuff that we make doesn't really, appeal to me, per se. Like makeup, I don't care about makeup. It doesn't interest me. But still, being able to go to the store and find something that I worked on, a container I worked on, is pretty cool. Like, we just recently had a project with Sephora, and there's a Sephora relatively near me, and it's just cool. I went in there one day and found the package, and it was like, oh, this is my package, I made this. And it's just cool. Like, I want to tell everybody, like, hey, I designed this package. But I'm like, nobody's gonna care. It's just exciting to me. But yeah, that's just something that I've wanted since day one when I went to engineering school. My whole goal when I went to engineering school is I wanted to work for a toy company, because I thought that would be cool, like design toys, and then I can see them in the store on the, for sale. Like, I could buy my own toys. Like, oh, this is cool, I made this. And so, yeah, to still be able to have that feeling just in a different industry. Yeah, it's not toys. I'd probably enjoy toys more unless I was working on Barbies or something. But, if it was something that had any kind of, some Batman toys or something, then that would be cool to me. But, yeah, it's still cool to find that. So I like that as well. And also, for the most part, I do have a decent amount of hands-on during this whole process. So, the design really is something that I can feel proud of. It's not like, let's say, sales. Maybe they'd go to the store and be like, hey, my company worked on this. But they don't really have too big of a hand. Yeah, there's some hand. Like, they build a relationship with the customer as well. They possibly are the ones that contacted the customer in the first place. So there's that. But, they don't really have as deep of a hand. They don't have that. They're not going to have that feeling of pride like I do. That whole package is me. I modified. So there's a couple modified pieces in there, and I took existing products that we have and modified them to create these new products. But still, I did that. And then the cap, it was super special. It was something completely different that the company's never done before. And I had to work with the company that we reached out to make this happen. So, I know all of that history. I have all the history on, the modifications that I did to the jar itself and another component. And, yeah, it's just cool. So I have all that. So it means more to me than, like I said, like, say, sales or say the owner of the company. He's basically got no hand in it. He just hears not really through the grapevine, but like in his daily meetings about things. But, he doesn't really have a hand in it. So if he saw it in the store, yeah, he'd be like, oh, this is from my company. Yeah, that would be cool to see. But, like, it's just like, you know what I mean? It's just, oh, that's from my company. But you had no hand in it at all, really. So he wouldn't really feel any kind of pride or anything. Just like, oh, yeah, we made this. You know what I mean? So anyways, that's something else that I like. I'm sure I could find other companies that you'd make stuff for as well, but at the same time, maybe not, because the last company I was with for 3.5 years, that company made sensors for cars. So technically, the sensors we made are everywhere. Every single car has to have sensors and stuff. So sensors that I worked on the design for could be in cars all around me. But the thing is I don't really see it. I might not have it. I mean, we didn't work for every brand. We worked for a lot of brands of cars, but not every brand. So, maybe my car doesn't have one. And it's not like you can just readily see. I'm not tearing apart a car. Hey, look, I worked on that circuit board right there. So, we're at least a jar or a toy or something. You see, it's right there on the shelf. Ooh, hey. So anyway, it's kind of stupid and mundane, but that's something else that I like as well. That the products that we work on are in stores, and you can actually find them. It's just like another product that I found a while ago now. I was going to say the other day, probably a year ago, if not more. But it's for Estee Lauder. They're expensive, and I never thought I'd see any Estee Lauder products because first off, I don't care about that crap. Second off, especially not expensive crap. But again, it was just cool to find it. Like, oh, hey, this is our product. Granted, I didn't have a hand in that design at all. That was that's a legacy product that we've already had. That's been there since I started. Like, I have no hand in it, but it's still cool to see it. And it makes me think, hey, in the future, I do have that one package. Maybe there's other stuff that I can find over time that I worked on. So maybe I don't have a hand in this, but I could have a hand in some more stuff in the future. Not could, it will. So anyways, I guess what I'm trying to get at, though, is like I mentioned earlier how I could be like a higher position project manager or something. But then I wouldn't really have as much of a hand in things because I'd be just delegating out, let's say, like portions of the project to others. So I don't really have a hand in it. So it's like, well, I don't really want that either. I like having the hand in things. I don't know. Anyways, the next thing I like about my company is kind of stupid. I mean, it doesn't really matter at all. But for the most part, everybody that I have to work directly with is pretty cool. Like, I like everybody. Now, granted, I'm sure, you go to another company, you'll eventually like the people too. But, I don't know. It's like these people are okay. I mean, it's not like I've ever had problems with anybody. My last company, everybody was cool with. The company I was with briefly from May to December, everybody I was cool with. So it's not like I've worked at places where everybody's hostile and it's just nice that everybody's laid back here. But it's just, I don't know. It seems, I don't know. It's almost a little bit different. It's almost like they're almost friends. Like, we don't hang out or anything, but it feels like there mildly could be the potential. Just maybe. Like, for example, the guy in the tool room. Granted, he's, 20 years older than me. But, he's cool. He's easy to talk to. Jokes around all the time. We actually have similar interests. Like, he likes movies. I like movies. So it's funny. We can talk about movies, and he knows what I'm talking about. Most people, like, I call myself a cinephile. I really like movies. I'm basically I wouldn't say an expert, but I'm well versed on more modern movies from, like, let's say 2000 on. I'm working on trying to get through slightly older movies like 90s and 80s so that I can build up more of a library in my head of movies. But anyhow, most times, people don't really know what I'm talking about. If I quote a movie or I try to talk about it, I don't know that actor, I don't know that movie, I don't know that line, where he does. He knows all these lines and stuff just like me. So it's kind of cool. Like, somebody I can talk to who knows what I'm talking about. But anyways, another thing is sometimes it's like he's bored and he'll just call me up just to chat. Nobody's nobody before, not like it really matters, but nobody before at previous companies was calling me up just to chat. Nobody cared that much. We were just co-workers that we were cool with each other. But like, that's why I said it's almost like friends. Like, he's bored, so he thinks to call me. But yeah, so like there's that too. Like, just cool people, easygoing. Even people that I don't really interact with too much, they're cool. They'll see me and they always say hi, even long distance. Like people that I have no business even needing to work with, they just wave and I'm just like, okay, whatever, cool. Hey, how's it going? And not like I really need to be all bubbly and stuff with everybody. I'm pretty antisocial / socially awkward and all that. So like I want to be left alone. But at the same time, when you're at work, it's nice to at least not have weird tensions. Like as long as, when everybody's all cordial with each other and friendly enough, then that makes things better. So there's that. And what is the last thing? There is one more thing. I always pre-think these whole things out before I record them. Like I basically do a whole entire unrecorded session just so I can get my thoughts out, and it helps me be a little more organized when I do go to record. And this dang last one I forgot yesterday too. And then when I thought of it, I thought it would be at the front of my head, and nope, forgot it again. What is the last thing I like? I don't know, so I guess we'll just get back to it when I talk about the cons. Because that's when I thought of it last time. So that's mostly all the positive things. It's kind of 4 things. I mean, the last one's a little bit goofy, so it's really like 3 strong things and then like a half. But still. Now for the cons. So like I said, there's 2 parts to the cons. There's the one side where it's like, yeah, this is something I don't like. And then there's like the deeper. So when I say deeper, it's more like, I don't know, emotional, personal type situation. I mean, like deeper. So on the surface, the regular things I don't like are, I don't like how, one, I know I'm fairly significantly underpaid. I've done the research. I have plenty of printouts in my drawer because I was planning on kind of like confronting the owner and seeing if I could get some kind of a pay increase, but I forget what happened. Things kind of fell apart and it just never happened. And like now I don't know. At that time, I think I had bargaining power. Now I feel like I don't anymore, so I haven't bothered. They're just sitting there in my drawer. But I did a lot of research. I have like 8 pages of stuff that I printed out and everything that show that I am being pretty significantly underpaid. And yeah, I don't like that. Like, yes, I did list all those things I did like. I do like that I don't have to drive far. I do like that I currently make the most money that I've ever made and all that other stuff. But at the same time, it's like, well, at the end of the day, this is work. This is my job. The whole reason I go to work is to make money so that way then I have money for my life. So do I want to be paid less, but I don't have to drive far? Or do I want to be paid more, which then turns into either, money in a savings account or a nicer car or a house or something, what matters more? Yeah, that matters more. Being able to enhance my life matters more, not, I don't have to drive far. Like, from what I've done for research, I'm undercut on my pay by like 50%. Like I should be making, just about 50% more than I get now. So there's a cop over here. I always do these when I'm driving. And anyways, I saw this guy somewhere else before, just stretching, and now he's sitting on the side of the road in a different area though. So he drove away from where he was stretching to do his sitting on the side of the road stuff. I don't know, it's kind of funny. Anyways though, so yeah, like it's 50%, and that 50% is a significant enough amount. Like I feel like I was thinking about it, I'm like, geez, I could like buy a fairly decent car, not decent, pretty good car actually, almost in cash with the amount of money that I'm being shorted. Like if I was making that money and just saved it up for a year, I wasn't making this before, so I'll just save this, and if I just save that, I'd have a good amount of money. I could probably get a pretty nice car in cash. Don't need a loan or anything. Either that, or it would be a pretty decent, well, maybe average, actually, down payment on a house. I mean, don't they usually want like 20% or something stupid? So if you got a $200,000 house, 20% would be $40,000. So, and that's, that's around where it would be if I could save that money. So, like, that's significant. So I'm like, I don't want to settle on this. The thing is, though, is I also mildly settle on a reduced pay for now, because I know it's reduced and I haven't been searching, but it's because of my daughter. Like, I know, I'm like, I got to think of priorities, I could make more money, but then what would that do? I'd be working all the time. Would I be far again? Would everything suck? Like, I just want to do what's best for maximizing her childhood. Like, my time to enjoy her childhood. I figure someday soon she'll be old enough when, she can drive, and then she's working as well, and, then she'll be an adult, and then it's like, when that time comes, then I can just do whatever, because then it won't matter as much anymore. She won't be a kid anymore. And then if I get a job that's far and I'm making much more money, well, it's okay then. So, I don't know. I don't want to hold off on anything, but it's kind of what my logic is. Same as trying to get into politics. Like, it's something I still want to do, but I'm like, I gotta wait till she's older. I don't have the time for it now, unfortunately. So when she gets older, then I can try that. Like, I don't know how these other politicians do it. The ones that have families, like Ted Cruz getting in the Senate and stuff. Like, he did it when his kids were young, too. I'm like, how do you do that? Because he's from Texas, right? But then, I don't know. I don't know how they have time for this. I guess it's just like the sport people and wrestlers and stuff. You're just never really with your family. Hey, I have a family, but I'm never with them. And I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be like, well, I can't see you because I got to go to the, Washington, D.C. But anyways, so yeah, there's that. And then I'm like, man, like, that extra boost in pay would be great, that I should be getting, that I don't know I'll ever get from here. And why do I say that? Because that kind of leads into number 2 that I don't like, which is that you don't really get raises or anything from my company. Like, granted, as long as I've worked there, yes, I've been getting raises, but they're not real raises. Basically what's happening is, one, like I said, when the last plant manager / former chief engineer left, me and the new plant manager absorbed some of his pay. Well, that's not really a raise. If he never left, we wouldn't have gotten that. I wouldn't have gotten a boost. The current now plant manager wouldn't have gotten a boost. I mean, he wouldn't have been promoted either. So it's like, it's all because he left that we benefited. If it wasn't for that, there wouldn't be any of that. And then the other raises have just been because minimum wage is going up. So we're salary, and or I'm salary, not all of us. The people in the office are salary. And so when the minimum wage goes up, that's for hourly people. But oh man. But in an attempt to keep things fair, God, heartburn. This is ridiculous. But anyways, in an attempt to keep things fair, all of us get a $1 raise when minimum wage goes up. So it's not really a raise, you know what I mean? If minimum wage wasn't going up, we wouldn't see an increase in our pay. It would be the same. So it's like, I've had technically like 3 raises, but they're fake. And I think minimum wage is supposed to go up one more time this year. So it's like, okay, I'll get one more quote-unquote raise. But it's not really a raise. Once there's no more minimum wage increases, then what? Nothing? I'm just flatlined? Just make the same thing forever now? I don't like that. I also don't like how there's really no, like, bonuses or, I don't know, true recognition of anything. Like, one thing that I did was, well, actually, this might be its own point, so I won't say this now, but I'll say this as an example instead. At my first company, basically you could call him chief engineer there, I think he called himself lead mold designer, but he used to work, well, did he work a lot? I don't think he did. He did regular hours, but still, he used to get regular bonuses. He got one bonus check every single month. I think it was for his regular base pay. It was just an additional check. So instead of 4 checks in that month, say he got 5. And yeah, it was just like a token of appreciation. Like, hey, I know what you're doing. Great work. Thank you. But like nobody gets any of that here, or at least not that we know of. I don't know. Maybe some people are getting something under the table that most of us are unaware of. I'm unaware of it. But, you know, as far as I know, for me, I don't know, I don't get anything. So, like, that kind of sucks. Like, I feel like, I don't know. Like, I feel like I went to college. It was supposed to be to get me something better. I don't feel like this is better if I'm just treated like any old regular minimum wage worker. Yo, what's up with all these cops? There's another one sitting on the side of the road. It's only been, like, how long ago did I say the last cop was there? 10 minutes? Seriously? It's the same strip of road, too. Is this like a speed trap or something? Nah, it's too far to be a speed trap. I don't know. But yeah, so I don't know. I don't like that. How there's no real raises, I don't think. And there's no recognition. That's the other thing too. Kind of like a part 2B. Is that there's no, you don't get recognized for your anniversaries. You know, my last company that I was at for 3.5 years, everybody got recognized. You know, you had a little party when it was your anniversary. Well, I think the people that hit big milestones had a party. But even when it wasn't a big milestone, you still got some kind of recognition. Your supervisor would have like a little group meeting and just be like, oh, it's so-and-so's, 1-year anniversary today. So everyone could be like, oh, congratulations. But there was still some kind of recognition, you know? This place, nothing. I remember when I hit my 1 year. I was excited because, like, a lot of stuff happened, and, like, I don't know, everybody kept saying I was doing a good job and stuff, so I was like, ooh, cool. And then 1 year anniversary comes, I was like, oh, what's going to happen? I was excited and nothing. Nobody knew, nobody said anything, it just came and went. 2nd year anniversary, came and went. 3rd year anniversary, which just happened, came and went. I wasn't looking forward to it, though, because I knew it was just going to come and go, and it did. Came and went, nobody knows. Oh, you've been here for 3 years? Oh, I didn't know that. I don't care enough. I don't like that. I'm like, come on, man. Like, that's these people are working for you, making you your money. Like, show a little appreciation of it. Recognize us on our anniversaries. Jeez, even if you want to be cheap and not give out, like, a bonus check or anything, you don't have to. Just recognize it. And give us, I don't know, something dumb. A tiny little party. Get some cupcakes. Some Stop and Shop. Hey, it's so-and-so's, 5-year anniversary. Oh, cool. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being stupid and I'm just overselling it. Not overselling it, just over whining about things. Maybe I'm just kind of spoiled from how things were at my last company, and now I just think that's like a standard. But, I don't know. Anyhow, that's the couple of other positive things that I just thought of. There's 2 of them, actually. So one of them, since I thought of this one more recently, I'll probably forget it first, so I'll say it first, is that I'm on salary, which oddly enough is kind of a pro. I remember back in my days when I was in high school and in college and stuff, I worked at McDonald's and other fast food crap places, Dunkin's, McDonald's, Burger King, and like you're hourly, and like I thought that was the way to go, hourly. And I always thought salary pay would suck because my logic was overtime. If you work overtime, it's free when you're on salary. You're not getting paid extra because you're working overtime. Like, you're a salary. There's a contract, basically, that, yeah, I'll pay you this much per year, which means you get this much per week. So whether you do 2 hours that week or 200 hours that week, this is all you're getting. And I always thought, ugh, that sucks. Like, I don't want to be on salary. I guess I especially felt that way because I know, like, the store managers, they have to work 45 hours a week minimum, and yet they're on salary. So it's like, okay, your salary is probably based on 40 hours of work, but yet they make you work 45. So they're forcing you to do 5 hours of free overtime every week. Like, that's kind of crappy. And so I always kind of had, like, a negative view of salary. But now that I'm on salary, I'm like, actually, it's not so bad, There's been so many times where I need the day off or I need to take half a day or something or, I'm sick, so that's why I don't come in. And, like, I'm good. I'm covered because I'm on salary. So whether I'm there or not, you still need to pay me. The deal is X amount of money for the year, whether I'm there or not. Unless I get fired, but otherwise, that you're supposed to pay me. As long as I'm your employee, I guess is what I should have said, not whether I'm there or not. Well, as long as I'm your employee, you agreed to pay me this X amount of money per year, which means, each week I got to see the same amount. So, yeah, like recently with COVID, I had to be out, well, not recently now, it was beginning of last year, kind of, like March, but still, I was out for 3 days, and it didn't matter. Salary, yeah, you still got to pay me. Where before, it would have sucked, because what I'd have to do is use 3 vacation days to cover that. Or, something happened recently, too. I think I was out for 1 day. Might have been sick or something. I don't know. Oh, yeah, I was sick. I remember. It started on a Friday. It kind of got better by Monday, but not fully. I was still a little under the weather, so I was like, I'm just going to stay home. But it was free, so to speak. I didn't have to worry about it. I didn't need to worry about covering it with a vacation day. It didn't matter. I'm on salary. I'm still getting paid. So, that's cool. My vacation time can be used for vacation time. Or if I want to, well, yeah, that's still 1 day off. That's my choice. But as long as I'm sick or whatever, it doesn't matter. Well, I guess as long as I'm sick. If I have a doctor's appointment, if I have a doctor's appointment, as long as I come in later, I still get paid, So that's cool, too, because before what I would have had to do is use half of a vacation day to cover the first portion of the day. Now, don't have to worry about it. I still come in, so I'm still covered. So it's actually kind of cool. And for the most part, I don't really have to put in too much overtime. I technically do put in a little bit of overtime, but it doesn't even matter. It's just, it doesn't bother me. I don't think about it. I usually stay until 4:30 or something, it just happens though. I'm not trying to put in overtime. It's just, I'm just there and I'm like, whatever, who cares? So yeah, salary is actually not as bad as I thought it was. It's just, a fast food place, their version of salary sucks, but real world salary isn't bad. The other thing that's kind of cool about salary as well is you know exactly what you're getting every week. I know exactly what I'm getting every single week for pay. Where when you're hourly, it fluctuates. Geez, you work 10 minutes less one week and somehow your check's $20 less, and you're like, what the heck? I'm not making $20 every 10 minutes, but somehow, because I work 10 minutes less, my check is drastically different. Where salary is the same thing. Every single week I know it's the same thing. I don't have to check this stub. I don't need to wait for the stub. I don't care. I know what it's going to be. So that's cool. The other thing actually is this company also pays weekly, which is nice. The last couple of jobs I've had have been bi-weekly, and that sucks. My job I was at for 3.5 years, bi-weekly. The last part-time job I was working, bi-weekly. And the worst part is the bi-weekly pays were on the same week. I was like, they could have at least been on opposite weeks, and then I could still get something every week. But yeah, bi-weekly sucks. I figured it out. I got used to it, but it is not an ideal way to be paid. And then there's those other jobs that do monthly. That's even worse. I've never had one, but I'm just thinking about, imagine one pay a month. You gotta wait a whole entire, if, say you're broke by week 3 of them, well, week 2 of the month. You gotta wait 2 more weeks before you can get paid again. No thank you. Weekly is perfect. Because then even if you're saving money, it's still fine. At least you have fresh resources coming to you every week, There's no weird pauses. Well, I guess I'm not paid for another 3 weeks. That'd actually be some crazy bills or gambling problem or something if you're wasting your whole entire pay in 1 week. But yeah, so there's that. And then the other thing that I was going to say is kind of a positive is there is a lot of opportunity to learn other things within the company. Personally, I kind of have mixed feelings on it. I don't mind learning other stuff, but at the same time, I don't want to be distracted from my job. I got my job I need to do. I don't want to be worried about learning this and this and this, so that then other people have less to do or something, But still, there is that option that you can learn other things and be a little bit more versatile as an employee or what have you, and that's kind of cool. I don't mind that. They want to put me in the shop. I'm not a big fan of that idea because I have skin problems on my hands, and it comes and goes in intensity. Sometimes it's ridiculous, other times it's not bad. Right now it's kind of ridiculous, but I think it's getting healed, so it's gonna be not bad, but still it's like in the middle flux. So I'm just like, I don't really want to work in the shop though, and because then I run the risk of that, my hands being all beat up and hurt and ugh. But at the same time, if I was working in the shop, like, that would be cool, because I could learn some new skills and stuff. It makes me more marketable in the future if need be. And even if I don't leave, it's still cool just to have those skills. But yeah, just like other employees, there's a lot of other employees that they, kind of float around and have them be trained up in multiple areas, and it just makes things better for the company as a whole when people are double trained. That way, then if you're short somewhere, but you got someone extra somewhere else, you can be like, hey, today, can you do this? So that's kind of cool too. Within reason, like I said, I don't want it affecting my main job. I don't want to be so busy doing secondary crap that I can't focus on my position either. All right, alert! Sorry for this weird juxtaposition right here. Kind of a hard interlude in the middle of listening to this thing for the past almost hour. But this has been being made in parts. Currently, this is Sunday night that I'm talking about this stuff. That I will be talking about, and the other parts were done on like Tuesday. So I just wanted to put this little alert in here, because if I end up talking about something that I've already talked about, my bad. I did go back and re-listen to the last few minutes of the last part that I made, so just to give myself an idea of where I was at. Now I think I remember everything else I talked about, so I shouldn't be repeating myself, but in case if I do, well, that's why. So anyways, attempting to carry on. So yeah, obviously having people that are cross-trained is a good thing to have in any company, because otherwise, you get somebody who's out for the day and then that department or that position or whatever is shut down. And that has happened a lot at my company, because basically everybody was just trained in their one area. And it's weird. It's just like in the office. We're heavily like that. A lot of people just do the one thing. So if that one person's out, whether it's vacation or they're sick or something, basically that position is out of commission for the day. No one else can do it. It's like our HR person. Like, she's afraid to, or not afraid, but she says that she can't take vacations because she's supposed to do payroll and supposed to, I guess, daily record people's hours, from their time punches. You're supposed to, I don't know her job, obviously, but it's something with the punches. So she's like, well, I can't really take a vacation because there's no one else that can do this. So in any case, I'd have to still either come in for a couple hours every day, or I'd have to bring my laptop home and work from home every day. Like, I can't really just take a week off and just relax. And that's because the position's not cross-trained. It's just her. Now, if somebody else knew how to do it, they could at least do that portion. Maybe not the whole job, obviously not the hiring and firing of anybody, but at least handle that. But no one else knows how to do it. So anyways, cross-training people and getting them to do extra things is great. But the thing I don't like about my company is how they do it. It's done in like a weird, janky way. I can't speak for the plant because, well, I don't work in the plant. I don't really keep up on the plant's situations. But in the office, I know things are vastly different than when I started. Like, everybody's position was just that. Now it's like everybody has a couple positions under their name. But at the same time, it's not really a cross-train. It's like you do this, but it's still just you. You picked up more stuff, but nobody else does it. Like, for example, me. Now, in addition to engineering, I also QC the sales orders, and I have to do the sales quotes. Now, when it comes to, well, majority of that, 2/3 of that, if I'm out, no one else is doing it. If I'm out, nobody's doing the engineering. And if I'm out, nobody's doing the quotes. I'm the only one that knows how to do the quotes. The only one that somebody else could do, probably not as well as me, but would be the QC. I know exactly what to look for, and I go into great detail just because that's how I am. Majority of the time, I feel like I'm doing too much. But still, you could have someone else look at it, and at least it's a second set of eyes in any case. There's the person that entered it, and then there's somebody checking it. But the other two, just me. If I'm out, if say I'm taking a vacation one week, and there's quotes that show up on Monday, well, they're waiting until the following Monday when I'm back, because no one else can do it. Or another one is, HR. The HR person now has picked up purchasing as well. So as I said before, our purchasing person, well, not before in this one, but in a different episode, a few episodes back, our purchasing person sucks. Or sucked, I should say. My gripe was that I'd have to wait way too long for POs, but obviously there's more than just that. Like, this person also was, like, slacking heavily on keeping up on the inventory in the plant and all that. And yeah, they were failing miserably at the job. And from what I understand, the job is relatively easy. As long as you keep up on your stuff, it flows just fine. There should be no issues at all. You know what I mean? Like, what I mean by flowing just fine is just your inventory in the plant. As long as you're daily going out and seeing what they have, seeing if anybody needs anything, then it just kind of just goes together, flows together. Okay, I had 10 barrels of this, I'm down to 8. So I got to put on the checklist that I need 2. How long does this take to come in? Okay, I have time. I can wait until I need 4 or something. Or, ooh, I should order that now. You know what I mean? And it kind of just works. But apparently she was just slacking like a mother effer. So we'd get down to like 1 barrel of something and be like, yo, we need more. Is there any on the way? No, but I can place an order. And it's like, how long is that going to take? This long. Okay, this barrel's going to last us 2 days. And you said it's going to take a week. And so then there'd be like delays like that. And then you're trying to jump through. Hey, is there any way you can expedite this overnight and get it on a plane and get it here? All because she sucked. So anyways, they took it away from her. Well, 90%. They've taken like 90% of purchasing from her and given it to HR, which seems weird, but in the past, when we've lost our purchasing person, the HR person took over for that. I don't really know why it defaults to HR, but that's what it's always done. And that seems like what it's still doing. Only difference is we didn't lose our purchasing person, they just sucked. And anyways, like I said, she still has about 10% of it. I don't fully understand what the 10% is that she's keeping. I think it's something like the big stuff, big contract stuff, something like that. But like the day-to-day stuff, HR is taking over. But majority of our purchase things are day-to-day. You only have a few contracts. It's basically like our material is on contract, and that's about all. Actually, I think some of our liners are as well. But that's about it. So anyways, yeah, I don't really know what her job is now. She still has a job. She's been moved out of her office and everything, though. She's just in a cube now. She has some kind of job. She's working half the time out in the plant. Like in the morning, she's in the plant. In the afternoon, I don't really know what she's doing in the afternoon, but she's doing something. But anyways, again, though, so now we have HR that can do 2 jobs, but it's not that she can do 2 jobs. She is doing 2 jobs. She is our HR person and our purchaser now, basically, because the other purchaser isn't doing it. Now, granted, if she did take a vacation, the old purchaser could step up and could handle purchasing again, because, I mean, that was her job for the past year and a half or whatever. But as far as the HR side, there's still nobody to cover that. Now, in addition to all this cross-training and stuff that's been going on like that, you know, we get all these additional responsibilities, but do we see anything for it? Nope. I mean, let's start with the HR person, because that's more of an extreme situation probably than anybody in the company. The HR person is now fully responsible for HR, so that's hiring, firing, you know, payroll, the hourly stuff, doing unemployment, doing, you know, fighting unemployment claims, issuing layoffs, whatever. Everything that you can think of that's an HR thing, that's her job. Now she also has to do purchasing. So that's ordering stuff, that's handing out POs. Like sometimes you don't really have to order anything. Like for me, a lot of times I just need a PO. I'm getting a service done, I just need the PO for them to do it. Like if I'm getting tools reworked or we need a new manifold or something, there's nothing she has to do. I just need the PO, and then what I've already discussed with these companies, they will proceed once they get the PO. So, but anyways, there's all that. Then there's you know, the other little day-to-day things, like, because you have a bunch of different options as well for paying. There's some stuff that goes on a credit card, and there's other stuff that we kind of just have like a net 30 situation where they bill us later. So the credit card stuff is usually, I think, is usually the smaller stuff, like you order screws and all this, bolts, nuts, whatever, from MSC or McMaster-Carr or, you know, PCS or any of those type of places. But still, it might not sound that bad, but it really is a lot. I mean, right now what she's trying to do is, I think she's juggling every other day. So like Monday she'll focus on purchasing stuff. Tuesday will be HR. Wednesday's purchasing. Thursday's HR. And then Friday is like I guess both. I mean, that would make most sense. So then you get an even split. But it could just be focusing on purchasing. But anyways, even though she's doing all this extra stuff, has she seen a increase in pay at all? Nope. Same pay, which is salary, and it was for doing HR. So the HR pay now is also being distributed for doing all this purchasing stuff. The possibly worst part is the old purchasing office, even though he kicked that purchaser out and gave her a cube instead, he wants to re-get a computer in that room and everything and have the HR person bounce between rooms. So when you're doing purchasing stuff, you're in the purchasing room. When you're doing HR stuff, you're in the HR room. Like right now, she's just doing it all in her one room. But his logic is, I don't know, they are technically separate positions, so he wants to keep them separate. Also, he wants to be able to... The whole point with HR is, the HR room is, it has a locked door. And the point of that is because when you, that's where everybody's personal files are and stuff. Write-ups, firings, people that are still active. It's just, their social security and all that. So you kind of need to have that room protected just so that nobody can just go in there and look around and get somebody's personal information and all that. So that's why he wants to split it from purchasing and that, because if she is out, at least that stuff is still protected, and then the purchasing stuff is in its own room where it can be handled separately from somebody, such as maybe the previous purchasing agent. But anyways, she's not really a fan of that, because now basically has two offices. Like, at least right now, she's got that one office to maintain. Now it's going to be two, so you got to bounce between. And then if a question comes up for one of those positions, like, you know what I mean? Say someone calls, like, hey, what's the status on this? Say she's in her HR office, and they're asking about the status on, something that was purchased. Well, now she's got to go run into the purchasing room to get that information, or at least now where it's all in one room, she could answer them on the spot. But it's like, well, can I call you back in 5 minutes? Because I got to go to the other room, boot up that computer, blah, blah, blah. So it is kind of a pain in the dick. But anyways, not only is she doing that, but she's also doing like 50% of accounts receivable, I guess it is, position. So the accounts receivable position, we used to have a CFO, and then she left, and she handled all the accounting stuff, accounts receivable, accounts payable, the bank, etc. But then when she left, it kind of got split up. So like, I got a portion of it. I'm doing the quotes now, accounting quotes, to give to the customers, like, here's our pricing. She used to do that. Now I do it. Accounts receivable, accounts payable. Well, I guess accounts payable stayed. So it's kind of in a weird situation, because I think accounts payable is still with, like, CFO, so to speak. So what we have going on is we have our old CFO came back, but he's trying to be retired. So he only works a few days, a few hours a week. I think he does Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and he's really only there from like 8 to noon. Some days he'll stay to like 2, but that's it. He's not putting in full time. He's not doing a full week. But anyways, I think he's doing accounts payable. So that's with him. But then accounts receivable, we made up a position for that, and we took somebody in from the plant. Basically, I guess you could say promoted them. It's not really a promotion. They still make the same pay and everything, I think. But now they're just in the office. They have an easier job instead of working out in the plant. Now they're in the office just doing accounts receivable, which is, I think that's what it is. I don't know. She's just doing the invoicing. But I think she's not invoicing customers for what they owe us. She's putting in the computer what the customers invoice us that we owe them. So whatever that is that receivable, payable? Maybe it's payable. I don't know. She's doing one of them. Maybe it's payable. She's doing payable, and the old CFO's doing receivable. I don't know. Anyway, though, in any case, she's doing something. But apparently, she's only doing half now, which I don't even understand, because like most of the time she's kind of just sitting there. You can catch her all the time just on YouTube watching, like, Keeping Up with the Kardashians and dumb stuff like that. Which one, I think, who even watches this trash? Who cares about this dumb, dysfunctional, stuck-up whore family? Like, I don't care about any of them. And it's just weird. She's over here watching it. Like, what do you watch this for? So you can just feel crappy about your life, that you're broke and struggling? I mean, she doesn't even have a car anymore. She had a car, it was a piece of crap, it died. Now she doesn't even have a car. She gets either rides from somebody, or she has like a shuttle bus bring her in the morning. It's like, why do you want to watch this, where these people are famous for no reason and very well off financially for no reason? Like, doesn't that just make you feel crappier about yourself? I don't know. That's how I'd feel. Like, That's not why I don't watch it. I mean, it's maybe kind of why I don't watch it, but the big reason is just because I think it's stupid. I don't care about these random people. Like, all they talk about is just stupid stuff with their weird monotone speaking. Oh my god, like, Courtney just needs to, like, lay off because she's been on me too much and I just can't take it anymore. Like, oh, cool. That's what your problems are? Hey, how about you try living a normal life where you have real problems? Like, oh my god, I'm so broke, I can't afford rent, I'm gonna be evicted. Not, oh, my sister's annoying me. Oh my god. It's so stupid. But anyways, yeah, she's doing that all the time. Some other dicking off stuff. So I'm like, how is she not even doing this whole job? That now HR/purchasing is handling it halfway. But anyways, point I'm trying to make is that person has 2.5 jobs now, basically. And do they make anything more? Nope. Same exact pay as what they were doing when it was just HR. The irony is, she always complained about HR, saying it was too easy, but I'm bored, I got nothing to do. And I'd always say, shut your mouth and enjoy it. For what it's worth, you're making decent money to be bored most of the time. Like, just enjoy it. And now, look, she's at a point where she's like, oh my god, I'm so busy. Goes in early, skips lunch to work on stuff, and then brings her computer home to finish up. And it's like, yeah, look what you did to yourself because you can't keep your mouth shut, you idiot. You should have enjoyed it. Now you got yourself so busy that it sucks. Now you actually have something to complain about. You're so busy and you don't make enough money. But anyways, the point I'm trying to make is that, she don't see anything more. She's doing a full second job and portion of a third job more and makes the same exact, which all that does is diminish what her job is worth. Her contract was for X amount of money per year salary to do HR. Now it just reduces that drastically then. Either that, or you can say, nope, it's still that because there's the contract for that, basically. There's no written contract, but, you agreed to an X amount of money for your position. So now you could say you basically picked up those other positions for free. So either now those positions you could say are worthless, or you're an idiot and you're doing something for free, which the Joker says if you're good at something, never do it for free. So either you're saying you're not good at it, which means you shouldn't be doing it in the first place, or you're just being a sucker. I don't know. But in any case, it's not right. And then it's just like the situation with me as well. I know I just made fun of them, but I'm kind of in that same exact boat too. So, as I alluded to earlier, I now have picked up the accounting quotes, and I've picked up QCing of the sales orders. So again, both of those aren't part of my job description. My job description is just to handle anything and everything engineering related. Designing stuff, troubleshooting any issues with molds, etc. Being in touch with the type of vendors that I need to be in touch with for engineering purposes, what have you. It has nothing to do with, accounting and providing the quotes for sales to give to the customer. It has nothing to do with QCing orders. Again, that's sales. It has nothing to do with me. But anyways, do I see a little bit of an increase in my pay? No. I make exactly the same as if I was only doing engineering. And it's that's not the worst of it. This is just kind of like whatever, I'll pick up a few extra responsibilities. I mean, the QC stuff kind of just happened to me over time as it was. Like, originally it was whoever was available. So the salesperson that was entering the orders would go around and ask, 2 or 3 people if they had a minute that they were able to QC the orders. And then what ended up happening was it kind of just fell on me more and more because I'm actually pretty good at it and I'm very thorough. And they noticed that. Well, the salesperson noticed that. So they kind of preferred me to do the QCing. And B, even though I'm not a fan of doing it, I always understood, it's not really the salesperson that's being annoying. It needs to be done. And I figured, so I always just kind of said yes just to be helpful. I think I don't want to do this, but whatever, I get it. I'll do this for you. So over time, it kind of just became default that it was just me. I was there to be helpful, and yeah. So now I just do it all the time. It's basically is just me. I'm pretty sure they have a written procedure now on how the whole entire sales order is supposed to go from step 1 to the final. And I'm pretty sure my name specifically is one of the steps. Bring the orders to me for QC, then I bring them back to the salesperson to be, for the final entering. So yeah, it's my responsibility now. But anyways, it sucks, but it is what it is. But anyways, yeah, but do I see anything more for that? No. Oh, that's what I was saying. Got sidetracked there for a minute. But yeah, what was worse, though, was after the last CFO left, I took on a lot of those responsibilities. Basically all of them. I did almost all of it except for hourly people's, salaried employees payroll. God, why that was such a struggle to get out. But anyways, yeah, and that's the only thing I never really took over. But otherwise, I was doing all the rest. And first off, I felt like that stuff was probably more important. You're dealing with the company's money. Like, I can't let that just sit and fall by the wayside. But the second thing is, it was busy. I was busy all day doing that. So my engineering stuff, I always had to wait to do after hours. I couldn't do it during the day. I didn't have the time. So anyways, there would be days where I was there until 9, 10 o'clock at night. So I'd be working 7:30 in the morning until 9 or 10 at night. And then sometimes I'd come in on the weekend, like a Sunday. I'd come in, I think I came in one Sunday from like 2 to 8. Granted, it's only 6 hours, but still, that's my Sunday that I just spent at work doing engineering stuff. So that way then it can be done or have decent progress for Monday. And so, yeah. No, I did all that. And did I see anything for it? Did I get a bonus check? Did I get any kind of increase in my pay? Nope. Did it all for free. All those extra hours for free. And, yeah, so that just sucked. Now, I get it. I guess you could say, well, that comes with it if you're on salary, that if you got to do extra work, you don't see anything extra. But, I mean, yes, that's true. But, that wasn't my job, though. My job is engineering. I had to do all these extra hours because I was doing accounting. Accounting isn't my job, which means I should have seen something extra since I was actually doing something extra that was outside my job. My job description does not say that I'm supposed to be balancing the books and stuff. That's not my actual job. So yeah, it sucked. I didn't see anything extra. No bonus, no nothing. The most I got was, oh, thanks for helping me out. Which, okay, cool, you're welcome, but, like, I want more than just a thank you. Seriously, I'm not doing this for a thank you. I'm not doing this for an attaboy. Attaboy. I get to pocket all this extra money now because I don't have a CFO, so all that money that I was paying on payroll for her is now going in my pocket. And I pay you the same thing for you to have no life because you're constantly here. Like, cool, thanks. Nice trade-off there. Just for an attaboy. So, yeah, that is something that I'm not a fan of. And also, I think I mentioned this earlier, like, we don't get actual raises. Like, I've had a lot of raises since I've been there, but, like, you know, nothing real. You know, like, I had an increase because the last plant manager / chief engineer left, and so me and the new plant manager absorbed his pay. And I've had increases every time the minimum wage goes up. Salary people get a dollar increase as well. So, like, yeah, there's that. But I've never had an actual raise. And, yeah, every year when my anniversary comes, I'm always excited, and then it's just for nothing. I'm like, oh, I wonder if something's going to happen. I guess I'm spoiled because I'm used to my last company. I don't know. My last company actually celebrated anniversaries. This one's just like, they don't even notice. Oh, so somebody's anniversary? That's cool. How long are they here for? Oh, that's cool. All right, well, carry on. So, I don't know. I guess for me also, maybe I have like a weird mindset, weird view of things because twisted view. I don't know, not twisted, but warped. I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but I just think that for me, like, you know, I went to school and I put in effort to get a degree, and then I put in effort to get where I'm at. Like, my position is not just a position that somebody off the street could come in and do just fine, you know what I mean? Like, I came in off the streets for this company, relatively speaking, and was able to do just fine, but that's because I had years of experience in this industry prior to me starting here. So, yeah, when I came in off the streets, like, I had, what did I have at that time? 9-10 years of experience? So, like, I came in and the only things I needed to know was, A, how do I know what I need to do for projects and stuff? Like, is there a place where my work is listed or anything? Like, how do I get that information? And 2, I just have to focus on learning all our product numbers. Like, there's a lot of them, and I still don't know everything. I'm getting a lot better. I know a lot of them now, but there's a lot. And sometimes even the stuff I've worked on, I forget. There was something that came up recently that we want to sell, basically a modified version of something that I worked on, I developed, and I'm like, what the heck was the part number? I couldn't remember. I had to look through. I had a general idea that usually our part numbers are 4 numbers. And I remember the first 2, but I was like, what's the last 2 numbers? And I had to look through in the folders, starting at those first 2 numbers, and then eventually I found it. I was like, oh yeah, duh, it's been so long though, I couldn't remember. But anyway, yeah, so that's basically it. But other than that, I was like, yeah, I got this, so it'll be fine. But you couldn't just have some average person who never went to school for what I do to walk in. You know, they'd be super confused. They wouldn't even know how to get started. I mean, I'm thinking about, like, my brother. If he tried to do this, he wouldn't know how to get started. He'd sit at the computer and be like, okay, what do I do first? Like, for me, it wasn't like that. I sat at the computer and knew exactly what to get doing first. You know, and then once I had some jobs come in, I knew exactly what to do. Okay, I got the jobs, cool. This is what I need to do, boom, boom, boom. Where him, even if he had a job, he wouldn't know what to do. He'd be like, well, what am I supposed to do? How do I move forward? Now, I'm also not saying that this is hard to teach somebody. It's not like I'm saying everybody's dumb and I'm some super genius, but I'm saying it would be a lot of training. Again, for me, when they hired me, there wasn't much training. You just had to get me the basics. Give me, like, the general layout of the office, the plant, you know, get me going a little bit on how I get my jobs, the part numbers, this, that, boom, I'm good. Where somebody who doesn't know, they need full-on training on how to use the software, how to do this, how to do that. You know? So, anyways, I feel like I've built up these skills and this experience and everything. So, like, I should at least be able to get yearly raises, you know what I mean? I shouldn't just be... I don't know, like, I feel like minimum wage jobs, it sucks that they treat you like that there too, that you don't get raises, but it almost makes more sense. Like, okay, fine, it's an unskilled workplace. You know, the people here are literally off the street. A lot of them are either A, in high school still, B, could be high school dropouts, or C, because there's more options. You know, maybe they're stay-at-home moms that now are just getting a job because their kids are older, so they want to have something to do during the day, or D, they're ex-cons, or E, they're druggies, or, you know what I mean? It's not the best people that get hired at McDonald's and Burger King and Wendy's and all that. I'm not saying all of them are terrible, but a lot of them, you know, they're not the best people. And that's why that's all they do for work. So, you know, I can see if you're cheap on them and you don't give them raises and stuff, because maybe you think they're not worth it. And it's only minimum wage. It's only fast food. I still think it's a dick move. Like, you know, hook up people that are long term. If somebody makes it there a couple of years, like, okay, they're dedicated to you. Reward them for it. But still. But you know what I mean? Like, what I do is a lot different. Like, I should be properly taken care of, not, you know, passed over just because. And that's kind of what the situation is here, especially with all these extra jobs I've been taking on. Well, not that I'm taking on, I've been given. It's just annoying. You know, like, I want to be properly compensated, not just take for granted that I do all this extra stuff. Like, I think about the last chief engineer they had. He wasn't doing accounting quotes. He wasn't looking at QCing sales orders. He did engineering, and that was it. It's funny, because I think about times when he was complaining. I remember one time, one thing he always tried to throw in everyone's face was how, I guess there was this 1 month where he had to bang out like 34 projects. And he always tries to make it sound like, oh yeah, I was doing so much. I had to do all this. And then I look back on it and I'm like, okay, on the surface that does sound impressive. That is a lot. But I'm like, I think about it, I'm like, it's really not that big a deal though. Like, he way oversold that. Like, I'm sure if I needed to do that, it would suck. Don't get me wrong. But I could bang that out no problem. First off, most of it was probably derivative. You know what I mean? It was probably various sizes of a product. So maybe one was an inch, the other one's 1.5 inches, another one's 1.75 inches. So all you gotta do is start with one, and then you copy paste. After you make one, you copy, call it the next size. So say you started with the biggest one. So now it's just a matter of getting smaller. So you start with say the biggest was 3-inch diameter. You start with the 3-inch, you call it whatever the number is. And then you copy that one, paste it, and then you rename it though to be the 2-inch and 2 3/4 inch, say. Then you go into the design, you shrink it down, boom. Do whatever other minor modifications need to be made, and you just made a second model. You made the second model in 10-15 minutes. Maybe the first one took you an hour and a half, but the second one took you no time because you just copy pasted and did slight modifications. Then when it comes down to the print, as long as you did everything right, the print should largely auto-update. You might have a few dimensions that it's stupid on and is not sure what it's supposed to do. But for the most part, it's going to auto-update all that. So now you basically got a whole entire print done in no time as well. Literally no time. Yeah, the first one might have taken you an hour to do with all the dimensions you need to put, tolerances you need to think about, views that you need to make sure are on the print. All that, coming up with a name in the title block, coming up with material, etc. But now that that's done, you modify it, you make the second one, boom, that's all done. There's a few things you got to change, like the weight, the part weight and stuff on the print. You got to change that because obviously it's smaller, so it's going to weigh less. If it's like a jar or a bowl, then you have to update the volume because obviously it'll have smaller volume. But other than that, your print is done. You made you made that second part in a fraction of the time. And then it's just like that for the rest of them. So the other 33 are super fast compared to that first one. Same as when you do the tooling. The tooling relatively could be just about the same for all of them, just smaller as you go down. And the way that you use the software, SolidWorks, it's a cavity. So you cavity out the biggest one, and then when you make it smaller, you have your assembly made it smaller. Now the cavity is automatically going to update to be that smaller size. So you literally did nothing. You saved tons of time. So I'm like, I don't know. On one hand, yeah, it sounds impressive. Oh God, 34 jobs in a month. Dang, that's more than one a day. But then when you really stop and think about it, it's like, it's not that bad. I could probably do it in 2 weeks. So, as long as you have the right strategy and you know how to use the software, you're good. Anyhow. So yes, all I'm trying to get at is he always likes to throw that, he always liked to, he's not at the company anymore, he always liked to throw that around. Like I remember one time I was complaining about something, I forgot, and he was like, man, I don't want to hear it. When you have to do 34 jobs in 1 month, then you can talk to me. And that's what I always thought was it really that bad though, or are you just kind of crappy at the software and didn't fully know what you were doing? Because I mean, he does come from the 2D days. He came from when it was hand-drawn, then when it was 2D. And I also notice a lot of times how he made his part models was weird. It's so much weirder than how I do it. And I don't like his way. I don't use his way at all. Half the time when I open one of the models he made, I just get rid of all the crap he did and just essentially redo it my way because it's faster and better. So I'm like, that could be part of his problem too. He did it in a weird way that just doesn't work very practically. And that's why it took him forever, possibly, to do 34 in a month. But anyways, at the end of the day, even though that's what he's complaining about, that's all you had to focus on. Now imagine having to do those 34 jobs while also juggling accounting quotes and QCing sales orders. Yeah, now you could have something to complain about because now you're getting a lot of your time consumed. But anyways, that was not a problem for him. He could just strictly focus on that engineering stuff. I mean, it's to the point that he probably could have just shut his door and locked himself in there and been like, don't bother me, I gotta focus. I can't do that. Because again, I gotta interact with, accounting and sales. So, yeah. So I have more on my plate, probably make less money than he did to only do engineering. Like, it's just annoying. So yeah, that's another thing that I don't like about my company and why I've been thinking about leaving, because I don't mind doing a ton of work. I have no problem. If they wanted me to keep doing the accounting stuff that I was doing before, in addition to my engineering, but they're going to pay me, say, 50% more, I'd happily do it. I'd still be doing it to this day. And I say I still because obviously I'm not doing it anymore, but that's not my choice. I didn't, quit doing it. What happened was I had vacations around that time. Well, a vacation around the time that I started doing that. And from what I hear from some people, I don't do the accounting anymore just because that vacation week basically screwed me over. Because I went on vacation, they didn't have somebody for accounting, and they got nervous, so they just took it away from me as a preventative measure, I guess. I did double check with the president of the company. First, I said, I have a vacation coming up. Do you mind if I take it? I can reschedule another time. And he was like, no, it's fine. You can go. So I'm like, it's not really my fault, though, that I wasn't here. I got it okayed. But that's what I hear was the situation. If I didn't have that vacation, they say I might still be doing accounting. And they actually did have some people come in for engineering to interview. But, one, they didn't like the people because they wanted to find somebody who basically was like me, could come in and just do the job. And, the people we got were, from different fields. And it's like, man, we're going to have to train them. They didn't even know anything about injection molding. They did other kinds of engineering. And it was just like, yeah, that's not going to be a fit. So it was just basically easier for them to keep me than try to replace me. and they saw it as easier to try to find somebody or figure out something different for the accounting stuff than it was to have me just take it over. So, yeah. But anyways, as I was saying, I'd still happily do all of it as long as I was being properly compensated. I don't want to do it for free. That sucked doing it for free. But if I was making decent money, that would have been awesome. And then I would have tried to be in competition myself to see how quickly I could get everything done. That way then I could, like, maximize my margin, you know what I mean? Oh, sweet, I'm out of here at 6 every day. But I'm making this much extra money as if I was here until 9. Nice, I'm making out. Not, I'm here until 6 today, which is just reducing my salary now because now it's over a course of 11 hours instead of 8. You know what I mean? So anyways, I don't want to go on about that anymore. That's just the next point that I have about why I'm kind of like, about my company. The next point, which actually might be the last point from this part. Yeah, I think this is the last point I have from this part. As I said in the beginning of the negative feeling side, there's 2 parts to this. One's like the average stuff, and then one's something a little deeper. So anyways, the last thing from the average side of discontent with my company is the office plant divide. I made a whole T4Cast before, sometime way earlier, talking about that. And yeah, it is a problem and it sucks. At the end of the day, it's not something that I've ever actually had to deal with. It doesn't really affect me because I'm kind of both. Being engineering, I do work with the plant quite a bit. And obviously everything in the plant started with me. All the molds out there had to start with engineering, and basically everything had to start with engineering out there. So I feel like I've never really been in that loop. I don't hear anybody saying that they have any problems with me, through the grapevine or anything. Like, some people would tell me if there was any issues, and I never hear anything. So it hasn't really affected me, but there is weird tensions between the two. I know that there is hate in the plant towards office people, and I know there's a lot of hate from office people towards the plant people. And it's just because it's almost like we're 2 different worlds. Us office people are the office people, where the plant people are the plant people. And a lot of us don't intermingle. A lot of the plant people have no reason to come to the office, and a lot of the office people have no reason to go to the plant. So that's why they come up with like weird ideas about one another, weird conspiracy theories, and hate towards each other over nothing. I also know that there are some things that do happen in the plant that the office people get. Some things happen in the office that the plant people don't like. Like, sometimes around holidays, the office people might be able to leave early. We might be able to get out at 2, or, there was my first year when I started around Christmas. The president of the company would let us leave at like 11 o'clock in the morning. So I know that created tensions for the plant people, because the plant people don't get that. They have to stay their whole day. So I know that's one thing that they don't like. They also don't like how we don't have parties all the time, but sometimes we have parties. Like, we'll have little birthday parties for people as long as they think of it and stuff. And that doesn't really happen in the plant. 1, there's just a lot of people in the plant. You can't really get everybody. But 2, it's like, the way that their work works is it's kind of continuous. You don't have time to sit and dick around having a little party. Where the plant, our work is different. A lot of us have laptops that we could take home and finish our work if we need to. Our work also doesn't have such a strict deadline. It's kind of like, when it gets done for most of us. Not all of us, but most of us. That's kind of, slightly how it is. And, maybe not. Maybe it's not. Maybe we all do have deadlines in the office. I don't know. I'm thinking about my job. It's kind of like when I'm engineering something. Yeah, I'm on a deadline, but at the same time, it needs to be done right. So when it's done is when it's done. But, so I think there's that too. Like, they know we have little parties, so then they get frustrated about that in the plant. Like, they get to have parties while we're just out here working. But it's not even a real party. It's like we have a cake, and then we sing happy birthday, everybody has a slice, and then we go back to work. Like, it's not that special. But still, anyways, though, I want to talk about the office plant divide, because recently now it has affected me. Like I said, I've been basically immune all along, but there was a stupid incident just the other day. I think, what day is it? Like I said, today is Sunday that I'm doing this. I think this issue was, when was this? Wednesday, maybe? But yeah, it was ridiculous. And so, yeah, it's just, it's part of that office plant divide. Because the people in the plant don't understand, and so they just saw something, and they knew it was tied to me, so they acted like I was the culprit, and it was such a ridiculous situation. So anyways, let me get into it. So what had happened is, the conference room called me up, to come out. Oh, you got a minute to come out? They do that often enough, and usually I hate it because I know it's some dumb nonsense that we didn't really need to have me come out to the conference room about. You could have just, called me up later and discussed whatever you wanted to over a, 30-second phone call. I don't have to run out to the plant to go to the conference room to answer a stupid question in front of everybody. And usually it's something dumb bugging me about, when is, X going to come back? When's this part going to come back from this vendor or whatever? So anyways, they call me up and that's what I'm expecting. I knew exactly what they were talking about. We have some big parts that have been out, some big cavities that have been out. And so I know they're running short. So I'm like, they're probably just going to ask me about those. When do you think you're going to come back? So anyways, I'm just dicking around. I'm working on something. What I'm working on isn't even that important. But I'm like, you know what? Fuck them. They can wait. I'll finish up what I'm doing right here. And then I'll go out. So it's probably like a minute. Normally when they call me, I run right out. But it's probably like a minute between me hanging up with them and me actually starting to walk out towards the plant. So anyhow, the conference room is like right there. Like right as you walk into the plant, it's the first room. And there's a door that is kind of like one way. You can exit only, but there's no handle to enter. And it's not really even a door that we typically use. I've seen it used once. And it was like a situation like we were trying to catch somebody. We saw, I think it was a truck. There was a delivery that was like leaving or something. So somebody in the room blasted out that door to catch the driver. But anyways, so anyways, there's a big window on that door. There's curtains all along, except for on that door. Obviously, there's no curtains because it's the door, though. So you can see that in there. So anytime I walk out to the plant, I always spy if there's anybody in the conference room. And then if there is, I just try to quickly see who's in there. Just so I can, I don't know, just, I guess it's I don't want to say it's a nosy thing. It's just something that kind of happens. So as I'm walking by, I'm expecting to see the room full. Well, all I see is the plant manager and the assistant plant manager, which obviously I knew the assistant wasn't there because she's the one that called me. So then I'm like, what the heck? Why is it only the two of them? What's this actually about? So then I get in there, and I'm thinking maybe other people are coming too. Maybe I'm first. I don't know. And no, what it ended up being about was, as I said earlier, heartburn. I QC the sales orders. So, what I do is the way that I QC these things is I compare them to what's in the computer. I have a printed out sheet that somebody entered and wrote on and stuff, and I just compare it to the computer to make sure that everything matches, because what's in the computer is basically what's going to circulate around the whole entire plant, and what's the information in there is going to be what ends up on the labels and ends up on the work orders and all that. And typically what's on the paper is what the order really is. It's like, it was written down on the paper, so to speak, while the customer was placing it, and then it got transferred to the computer. So my job is just to make sure that these things match. Let's keep this in mind too. I know that sounds goofy because it is. We use a super old-fashioned system. Our company runs on something called the AS400, which is technology from the 70s. I think we've had the AS400 since 1978. And we were working on getting something much more up-to-date called SciFrame, and that was with the previous CFO. But when she left the company in April of last year, 2022, basically all progress that we had on that software died with her. Ever since she left, nobody's worked on implementing that. So we still use a very archaic, ancient system. And if it wasn't for that, things would be a lot better than they are. But anyways, that's why I have this weird, goofy, dumb system of needing to QC things, because our system's so old-fashioned that we operate like it's, 1980 instead of 2023. It also doesn't help, though, that, you have the guy, the COO, who basically ran the plant before with the previous owner, who was the current owner's father, and they basically had no desires to move forward at all. I mean, they wanted to, from what I understand, the plan was to, instead of like selling the company or transferring it to a family, I hear they just wanted to let it die. Like when the last owner was ready to retire, the company was supposed to just be, I mean, I guess sold, but not sold to stay in business. It was supposed to be sold just to get rid of it. Okay, this is done. We're not doing this anymore. And yeah, the only reason it's still in business is because his son, who's the owner now, I guess stepped up and was like, nah, I want to do this. Let me buy it off you and keep it going. So yeah, as such, since that was their plan, they didn't update anything. We still run on 70s technology. A lot of our machines in the plant are way too insufficient for today's standards. Yeah, maybe they were fine in the mid 80s, but they're not anymore. They're all way too small, which then that makes us very uncompetitive price-wise, because we're higher than everyone else because we can't produce like everyone else can. You know what I mean? Like, say we're running an 8-cavity mold where other places are running a 32-cavity mold. So in theory, they could be a quarter of our price because they can produce 4 times as much in the same amount of time. So, yeah. Everything, I guess that's actually another thing, now that I'm thinking about it, another thing I don't like is just how we're so out of touch, out of date, old-fashioned. You know, the COO needs to go because anytime somebody has an idea, he doesn't let it happen. I think in part, that's why the last plant manager left, you know, the guy who was chief engineer and then moved over to plant manager. I think that's half the reason, because he had all these ideas on how he could make things better, and he just kept getting shot down. The now COO would shut it down. I also think he clashed with the current owner. I'm not entirely sure why. Maybe it's just, I mean, I might have an idea kind of why, because maybe he just sees him as, I don't know, like, not a kid, because they're roughly the same age, but, you know, more like, what do you know about this company? You haven't been here, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? I don't know. You know what I mean? Because before it was his dad. He worked for his dad all these years. Now all of a sudden the kid's coming along. So, I don't know. It could be a situation like that. I don't know how to explain what I mean, but I know what I mean. But, yeah, the COO just shuts down ideas all the time. People will have ideas. Oh, we should try this. No, we should do it this way. It's worked all along since the 80s, since the 90s. It's like, yeah, bro, cool. It worked in the 80s and 90s, but it's not the 80s and the 90s anymore. Things are so much different now. You know, technology is so much more advanced than the 80s and 90s. You know, you don't walk around with this giant 5-pound cell phone anymore. You walk around with this miniature computer in your pocket that weighs, 12 grams. Like, you know, you walk around with a whole entire Radio Shack in your pocket now. I mean, geez, phones have everything. Internet, calling, texting, faxing, pictures, video, what else? Scanning. Literally, a whole entire Radio Shack in your pocket. That's why Radio Shack's not a store anymore, basically. Because you don't need any of that anymore when you can just get it on your phone. Word processor, Excel sheets. And then you can even hook up your phone to a printer. I know, because I've done this at my job. I've hooked up to their printers and printed things out. So, you know, you almost don't even need a computer if you have a phone. That actually would be kind of a funny idea. Not to go on a weird tangent here, but taking like a old phone that I don't use anymore as a phone and like making it a whole entire workstation. You know, getting like a Bluetooth mouse and a Bluetooth keyboard, hooking it up, having it hooked up to the internet so I could have all that functionality, get a printer that you can hook up to, have a whole entire computer that's just a decommissioned phone. That would be kind of savvy, though. You know, get a good case, too, that allows it to have a stand so it's standing up. Anyways, though, so yeah, I guess that's also another thing that I forgot that I don't like, is how we're so old-fashioned and held back. Like, the COO needs to go, and it's frustrating because it's like, literally everybody that works there sees that he's a problem. All of us in the office know that he's a problem. Everybody in the plant knows that he's a problem, and holding everything back. And like, even on like, what was it? Was it last week? I think it was last week at this time. So today's the January 15th. So I think it was last week. He was out. I think he had COVID, so he was just sick all week. And you know, when he came back, people made jokes, but they weren't jokes. They were like those kind of jokes that you're telling the truth, but you're saying it in a jokey way just so you don't seem too dickish, but at the same time, you are sending a message. And like, they were like, last week without you here was so great. We were able to have a meeting and actually discuss things, get right to the point, be in and out, 5-minute meeting instead of half-hour meetings where you basically have no resolution in the end. We had resolution, came in with a problem, left with a solution, 5 minutes. And, they're just talking about how things were so much better without him there. Nobody was all uptight, nobody was frustrated, nobody had to, this, nobody had to that. Again, they put it in like a jokey way, but at the same time, they're telling the truth. Because that's how it is. The guy just, I don't know. They always say he's, he likes to stir the pot. And he likes to come up with dumb things all the time for people to do. That just basically is just more or less like his own personal R&D. But rather than him doing it, he makes someone else do it. So he's wasting somebody's time to do some dumb nonsense. And, yeah, he's just keeping the company back. I feel like there's just so much that could just explode and be awesome if he was just gone. But he stays there, and then he talks to the owner. He's in his ear, and, then, like, if somebody mentions buying a new press or something, he's there to be, we don't need that. We've gone by these years without the bigger things. Why do you think we need it now for? And then the owner listens to him, probably because, in part, he's thinking with his wallet as well, so he's hearing it as, ooh, more money for me, instead of thinking of reality, like, no, it would be more money. Yeah, I might have to spend a couple million to buy these new machines, but in the long run, I'm going to make so much more money when I'm so much more capable of doing so. But yeah, so that guy just needs to go. So that's kind of another thing that's annoying too. Like, what did he try having me do the other day? He wanted me to do some kind of dumb nonsense. Luckily, it didn't happen. Somebody else ended up talking him out of it not really on my behalf, but I guess, what was the situation? He wanted me to make some kind of dumb chart. Yeah, I think he wanted me to do, like, some kind of weird basic, like, plant layout or something. And I'm like, are you serious right now? I don't have time for this. But then somebody else talked to him and basically talked him out of it, because I think it was because they would have been involved as well. Like, it would have started with me, then it would have had to go to them, and they would have had to do something. So they talked him out of it because they didn't want to deal with it. But, like, it's just dumb. There was no need for me to do that, and then, it would have been no need for them to do it either. That's why they talked him out of it. But that's like what he does all the time. Just dumb little stupid projects that no one needs to do. Just waste time. And then, like, he gets the results that he asked for, and then, oh, yeah, that is no good. And it's like, yeah, I'm glad I had to go through all this when I already told you it was no good, but you didn't want to hear me. You wanted to see this dumb experiment first. Ugh. So, anyways, how did I even get onto a tangent of him? How did I? Oh, yeah, because I was talking about the AS400 and how we're held back because of him, basically. So yeah, so that's what I do. I make sure that, and then as I go through the lines, what I do is on the paper, I use a red colored pencil, and I check everything off. If it's matching in the computer, I check it off. And I check off everything important on that sheet, and then on the very bottom, I initial it, and I put the date. Why do I put the date? I guess there's really no reason to, but I just do because, I don't know, it's further, like, information. Yes, I checked it, and this is when I checked it. I don't know. I guess it doesn't hurt to have, so that's why I do it. The other thing is, a lot of times on that sheet, there's also other stuff that is attached. Like, they'll staple a bunch of sheets together. Maybe there's emails between the customer and us that it's kind of like working up to how we got that sale. So there's, like, approval from the customer in that packet that proves, yes, this is an actual order. Then there'll be, like, prelim order forms and stuff. So anyways, what I do is I'll also look through those and make sure that the information that's on that cover sheet matches other information on other sheets. Because, maybe there's an error just on that cover sheet, and it could be in the computer, and that matches, but if it's wrong and it doesn't line up with what's, like, say there's something the customer agrees to a certain price within the email. Yeah, we'll pay, $25 per 100 of those pieces, and then say on the paper, though, for some reason it was written as $28, and then now in the computer it's 28. Well, that's not right. It's supposed to be 25. So that's something else that I would point out, like, in here it said 25, but the computer says 28. I don't know if something changed along the way. So anyways, point is I'm usually pretty thorough. But yeah, so what happened was, obviously, they called me in because they saw the sheet had my initial on it and the date. I think it was 12/28 last year that I signed off on it. And so what had happened was there was molding. Amount to be molded was like 55,000 pieces. And apparently they didn't get any work orders for that, which means that the computer said 0 for molding. So when that happens, they don't get a sheet, because why is the computer going to print a sheet if you don't need to make any? Which the reason why we don't need to make any is, say the warehouse had a lot. If the warehouse had like 100,000 pieces, well, obviously you don't need to make any. We'll just take from the warehouse. Now, I forgot how they even caught that. Somehow something got brought up, and that's how they even noticed it. But anyways, the ridiculous part that happened was, it was the assistant plant manager was the one that goes in on me, and they're like, it started out kind of normal. What happened here? It says there's 55,000 and you checked it, but then we didn't see any on our work order. And then like she just starts going down this weird cliff and getting just aggressive towards me for no reason. She's like, now I gotta come in on an effing Saturday. Are you gonna come in and help me do this too? Like, when you were checking this, are you even checking it? You're just going through the motions. And like she's getting all worked up and bent out of shape at me, to the point where she's literally about to cry. Like, her bottom lip is quivering, her eyes are getting all red, and I'm thinking, are you serious right now? Calm down. Like, first off, in the grand scheme of things, this isn't really my problem, okay? I'm not sales, and all I'm doing is checking. I'm a final check. First off, there's a check before me. Second off, there's the person who entered it. There's 2 other people who looked at this before I did. Just because my initials are on here, like, don't come at me only. Second off, as I just said, I'm very thorough. If I checked off, which I did, that the molding said 55,000 to be done, it said it in the computer. So I don't know what happened, but it said it. So don't be crying at me because it didn't show up on your papers. I didn't do anything. Something happened somewhere along the line, but it ain't my fault. I checked the papers. What happens is they come down to me from sales, and then after I check them, I bring them back to sales. So I don't know what happened after that, but when I had them, that was there. But yeah, so anyways, when she's all getting all hostile at me, I was gonna say something. I was gonna be like, all right, first off, you need to calm down, because whatever your problem is, this isn't my fault. I checked it, the number was there. Because something's not showing up for you, it ain't my problem. And then I was also annoyed because I've never done anything to her. Okay, I'm always pretty, I don't want to say cordial, but I'm pretty neutral. A lot of times I acknowledge her, she'll acknowledge me. Like, she'll see me and say hi, and then I say hi back. So it's like, I've never wronged you, so don't be coming at me like this. And then the other thing is, that was kind of irritating me, is in any regard, I'm higher ranking than her within the company, in any regard. I say this because she's had tons of positions. When she was hired, she started out as quality, then somehow she got herself into being one of the department managers, and now somehow she's the assistant plant manager. But, like I said, in any regard, I'm higher than her. First off, when she was quality is directly under engineering. If there's any report, technically, I guess, like, if quality was to call out, they'd call out to the plant manager because they work in the plant. But technically, according to our organizational charts, quality is right under me. So she was under me then, which only makes sense anyways, because quality would be checking parts to the prints that I or somebody else from engineering has made. So it originated with us anyways, so it makes sense. Like, you know what I mean? You're not doing anything original, we are. And then you're just checking that the parts match what we determined up in engineering. So there's that. The second one is when she was the department head. That department actually, so the departments are actually all way down in the organizational chart. It's like you got the top tier people, well, basically just the president. I guess maybe not the COO, because that position's kind of fake that they made up just for him to stay. But then you got 4 positions under that. Then there's people directly under that. And then it's like all the departments under that. So she'd be even lower than quality in that case when she was the department head, Because makes sense. I mean, they are making the stuff and then quality is checking it. So if it's bad, quality is going to reject it and the department needs to rework it. And then now, as the assistant plant manager, she'd still be under me because on the organizational chart, as I said, it starts out with president and possibly COO. I don't know. They haven't updated it for him. But then under him, it's VP of sales, chief engineer, hi, that's me, CFO, and plant manager. We're all on the same line, which means assistant plant manager is under the plant manager. That would be a different row, which means I'm still higher. So even though she's had three positions within the company, and even though at one time she was kind of running all three at the same time, I'm still higher ranked than you. I'm still, in the organizational charts, I'm still more important than you. So anyways, for her to go off on me like that kind of irritated me for that too, just like out of a respect thing. Like, F you, who are you? Who are you to talk to me like this? Huh? Like, the plant manager is here too. If anybody's gonna go off on me, then it can be him, because at least we're on the same level, not you. So, yeah. I wanted to be snippy, but instead I was like, no, I'll just stay professional. That way then I can be above this, and it just looks better for me to remain professional. You can be an idiot and start crying over there while yelling at me for something dumb that's not my fault, and I'll stay professional. Although, when I answered, I did use a snarky tone. I answered professionally. I didn't use swears like she did, but I used an aggressive, sharp way of speaking just to, convey a point. Like, all right, shut your fucking mouth. Here's the situation. But anyways, so yeah, after they talked to me, then they ended up calling in the salesperson because I don't have all the information. I don't know what happens before it gets to me, and I don't know what happens after me. I have it for a small portion. There's tons that happened before, then it comes to me, I check it, and then something happens afterwards. It's like final entered or something. I don't know. So they called her in. So then she was trying to answer. I don't know what happened, blah, blah, blah. I mean, he has the check on, and then she's kind of like helping me, talking good about how she knows I'm a good checker. And she's saying, 99.9% of what he checks, I have full confidence in that it's thoroughly looked at. So I don't even double check him afterwards. And I'm like, good. Tell them that I'm good, because this is part of that stupid plant divide. They don't know. Again, like she said, what are you doing? Going through the motions? Which, actually, to get into that a little bit more, in the moment, when she said that, I took it more as like, are you just going through the motions? Like, okay, yep, that one. And I was thinking, yeah, I mean, I kind of am going through the motions, I always check the same things, but I make sure that they match. But then I thought about it after when I got home, and I was like, no, she was being a B-word. When she was saying, are you going through the motions, she just meant, like, I'm not even paying attention, I'm just going through the motions. Yep, check, okay, yep, next. And that made me irritated, because I was like, no, I am not just going through the motions. Like, when I do the QC checks, I am way too thorough. I feel like I take too long to do my QCs because of how thorough I am. How I double check everything on the paper. They have notes, I double check the notes. I mean, they have zip codes up at the top that probably don't even matter because all the rest of the information's right, and I still check the zip codes, and sometimes I've noticed those don't match. Like, I notice weird random things. So I notice when periods are missing and sentences down in the notes. I notice when there's a typo down in the notes. Again, that doesn't even matter, but it's still something I still catch and notice. Like, I'm ridiculously thorough. Like I said, I even go through the packet and double check that everything matches throughout the packet. So for her to say, oh, you're just going through the motions, it's like, bitch, shut the fuck up. No, I'm not going through the motions. Are you kidding me? I spend way too much time on QCing orders. I'm not going through the motions. I'm way too thorough. So that was just rude and annoying for her to say that afterwards. Like I said, I didn't realize in the moment, but then I thought about it after. I'm like, I know what she meant. She was being a B-word. Because around the time she said that was when she started to cry, and that makes sense. Oh yeah, you didn't mean that honestly. You meant it rudely. But anyways, so then after the salesperson came in, we also called in the former purchasing person, who's now, I don't know what her position is, but they had her come in too. I forget why we had her come in, but a idea that she floated was that it could be a problem with the software, our AS400. And I thought about it. I was like, you know what? I didn't say this, but I was thinking about it. I'm like, you know what? The AS400 is so old-fashioned and archaic. It wouldn't be too hard to assume that it is problems with the 400. That something stupid like that could just happen. That it's just screwing up because it's so old-fashioned and out of date. I mean, there's basically no support for this software anymore. We have a old guy. He's probably in his 80s. Who's a pro with this software because, back when it was newer, that was his job. And so we hire him on to come in and, update it and stuff for us. Like, there's no actual support. You can't call a company and be like, hey, I got a problem going on. It's not supported. We have to have this guy come in and look at it for us. Like, it's so out of date, too, that we have an IT team. I mean, not an IT team. We work with a how do you call this? I don't know, a company. What is it called? MB Data Systems. He's a company, technology. He does all our computer work and stuff like that, our internet and everything. He's the IT guy. I don't know. But anyways, yeah, it's so old-fashioned that even he doesn't know what to do with it. That's why we need to have this other guy. And, so I'm like, you know what? That would make sense if there was something stupid happening and the software is just kicking it out. Who knows? It's super old. It's like Linux. But anyways, so she floated that idea, and then they ended up coming up with a solution for her to not double-check me, but the idea is for her to look at it just for the purpose of allocations, like from a material standpoint. That way, then, it might be something she'd notice. Oh, hey, we need this material. And then if the orders didn't show... if the orders that go out in the plant don't show a quantity to be molded, then maybe at least that would raise the question, hey, why did you order all this material for? And then she'd be like, oh, it was for this. And then you'd say, oh, it says 0. That's weird. But at least, you know what I mean? It's like a double step to kind of prevent this from, in the future, from happening. But anyways, at first, after the meeting was over and we were alone, the salesperson was like, I don't think the issue with the AS400 is real. I think she was just saying that to try to, have our backs and tell them something to make them happy. But then later, when she came down with more for me to QC, she says, you know what? I found another order that said 0 for molding, so maybe it is the AS400 that has a problem. And then later, we tried an experiment where we manipulated some stuff like would normally happen, like if you changed the date or something. And nothing happened. It didn't kick out the number. So it was kind of hard to prove out that the AS400 could be screwing up, but I don't know. But yeah, so that was basically the situation that I dealt with, and that was annoying. It's like, if I have a check mark there and I sign the bottom of this thing, then that means I saw it. Like, I'm not signing something to stand behind it and be like, I don't know, I kind of did it. No, I'm standing behind it because I know it's good. I looked at it. I saw what I needed to see. I checked it off. It's good. It's funny, too, because now, not only have I been a part of this office plant divide, but it's like almost everybody doesn't even like that girl, the assistant plant manager. Practically everybody in the office doesn't like her, and practically everyone in the plant doesn't like her. And it's for different reasons. Some people in the office don't like her because they feel like she's too emotional, or not emotional, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but like she just flies off the handle too easily. And then she'll, if there's any issues, she's quick to jump to conclusions and find blame. She doesn't want to accept any responsibility ever for herself if she's the problem. She wants to find blame, and then she flies off the handle like, look, getting ready to start crying with me. Well, I guess that's how she always is. Always just way too on the edge, and the people in the plant just don't like that. We're pretty laid back. I mean, not in the plant, in the office. We're pretty laid back in the office. So you have someone all high-strung like that come through, and it's like, ugh, you're ruining our vibe. So that's kind of why everybody in the office don't like her. And then as far as people in the plant, a lot of the people in the plant don't like her just because they feel like she's too much of a busybody. And she's always trying to be into everything. And on one hand, that's good for her. I mean, it helped her get where she is, you know what I mean? She's assistant plant manager now. It's funny because I remember when she was new, and I remember the last plant manager, every time she ever tried to talk in a meeting, he always shut her down. He never wanted to hear what she had to say. She'd start saying something, and he'd start talking over her. And I always thought it was funny. I also always wondered why he was like that, though, because I thought it was kind of rude. Like, well, why don't you want to hear what she has to say? But that's how he always was. So, anyways, it's just good for her, I guess you could say, that she's been able to come up. She went from somebody who's always talked over and shut down to somebody who's now kind of got a voice. I mean, you're an assistant plant manager, so... But at the same time, the people, like I said, in the plant just don't like it because she's just been too much. It's like she tried to come up too quickly and, just try to get into too much. Like I said, she was quality, and then somehow she's one of the department managers, but at the same time, she was still quality. And then she ends up somehow getting to be the assistant plant manager, but she was still the department manager, and she was still quality as well. She was like all three of these things, and everyone was just like, what is this girl doing? She thinks she can do everything, but she can't even do one thing. And the problem was, she's basically trying to get into all this stuff without even having proper, like, know-how. You know what I mean? Oh, I'm trying to be the plant manager. I mean, run this department, but I don't know anything about this department. Oh, I'm trying to be the assistant plant manager, but I don't know anything about the plant. That's the other thing, too. She was the unofficial, like, belt manager as well. Forgot about that. She was always over there working the belt. So, like, she was trying to do 5 billion things, and, like, people just were like, girl, choose one thing and just be a master at it. Stop trying to do everything because you're wearing yourself thin. Anyways, eventually, the president stepped in and basically kicked her out of all of that. He took away quality from her. What he did instead was promoted somebody else that was already working in the company to be quality. And the good thing is for her is I hear that she's doing a really good job at quality. I hear that she's been catching a lot of problematic parts. So by the time it gets to the finishing stage, see before finishing had a lot that you'd have to throw out. Now finishing is almost like you just bang right through because everything's good because the crap's already been caught, which is good. That's kind of what quality's supposed to be doing, rejecting stuff right away and all that, filtering it out before it can get too far. Because obviously the further a crap part gets, the more money that's invested into it. And then when it finally does get caught, it's got so much wasted time and effort put into it, so you want to catch it earlier. But anyway, so that happened there. As far as the department that she was running, one of the guys in the department got promoted, so now he's the head of it, so she's out of there too. As far as the belt, I'm not actually sure who's running the belt, but I know it's not her anymore. And yeah, and then now she's just focusing on the assistant plant manager stuff. But the weird thing about the assistant plant manager stuff is I don't even think she's really the assistant plant manager per se. She's more like the assistant to the plant manager. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that sounds like the same thing, but I mean, like, an assistant plant manager is somebody who is, I don't know, like, just almost as high ranking and as important as the plant manager. And there's somebody who could take over should the plant manager retire, get fired, be sick, etc. Where what I'm saying she is she's the assistant to him. It's kind of like actors, how they have an assistant that runs around and gets them their coffee and what have you. That's kind of like her with the plant manager. I mean, she's not getting him his coffee and all that, but like she's kind of more of his assistant in that regard rather than the assistant plant manager. And like, yeah, they're always just together. If she's in the office, then I know he's in the office. Not in the office, but their office out in the plant. If they're out in the plant, chances are they're together. I see them together all the time. So yeah, so like she doesn't really do anything now. She went from trying to do absolutely everything to just kind of nothing-ish. I don't know. But yeah, so my point is a lot of people don't like her. For me, I've never really had any issues yet because I don't really deal with her. I just, she says hi to me and I say hi. But now I'm like, oh, I see what people's problems are. Yeah, because that was ridiculous how she was that day. So then it was just funny, too, because the other day she came down into the office. She came down to my area looking for the guy that sits next to me. And when she came down, and she ended up in his area, so she couldn't see me, I gave her the finger behind her back. It's just funny, because it's something that normally I wouldn't have cared about. Like, she didn't matter to me before, but now she must be a dickhead. So now this is something I'm always going to think about. I'm always going to think about how she was a dickhead for absolutely no reason. And it just annoys me, too, because she didn't even have any information. She attacked me before I could even say anything. You know what I mean? Like, she didn't know why what happened. She didn't know what my involvement even really is with the QC. All she saw was a paper with my initials on it, and that it didn't match up to her paper. So she just jumped the gun, crawled down your throat. And it was like, man, that is not the way to do things. Seriously. Especially if you're going to have a relatively high position like you have, that is not the way to go about things. You need to first ask questions, gather information, assess that information, and then you can draw conclusions. You had nothing. I literally walked into the room. Maybe I said hey to them. Hey, how are you? Sat down and then got attacked. So, yeah. This office plant divide is pretty ridiculous. And, something needs to be done to try to, like, close that gap. I don't know. I don't really know what you could do, though, because it's like I said way before, like, most of the people from the plant don't come to the office because there's no neat reason for them to at all. And most people from the office aren't really in the plant that much because there's really no reason. So I don't know how we could close this gap off. I don't know. I really feel like the only way you could is you'd have to have, like, a lot of annoying, dumb, stupid little gay meetings. You know what I mean? Like, maybe every Monday morning, everyone just meets out in the plant and we just talk or something. I don't know. some kind of weird structure. And then at least everybody could kind of get on everybody's page. You know what I mean? Instead of being on plant's page and office page, we'd just be all on the same page. Oh, we're just all people that work for the same company. Just because we're in different buildings, we all have the same end goal, and we're all part of the same team that helps reach that end goal, instead of, oh, those office people are, oh, those plant people. I don't know. Anyhow, there was one more thing that I thought of for the positives. I don't think I remembered it in time, and that was that I'm on salary. If I didn't say this already. Initially, I thought salary would be... Maybe I did already say this. I don't know. I've gone over this rehearsal of this video in my head so many times. And I've done dry runs where I'm just kind of saying it in my car without recording that. Now I don't know if I've said this stuff recorded or not yet. If I did say this recorded, my bad. But if not, here it is. So salary I always thought would be a problem. Actually, yeah, I think I did already say this. I remember when I did this, I was driving. I remember I was at a light when I first said this, because I was saying how when you work at McDonald's and stuff, they expect you to do 45 hours, even though your salary is for 40 hours. So, okay, I already said this. Never mind. So, yeah, that about covers it for this, then. For the good and the bad, basic stuff. Now there's the deeper... I don't know what to phrase it as. That's why I keep saying deeper. But what I'm actually going to do is make that be its own episode. This one has been plenty long enough at this point. And, yeah, I don't think we need to add to it. So I'm going to make that be its own episode. So, if you listen to this one in its entirety with me, thanks a bunch. That's pretty cool. If not, but you skipped around and ended up here anyways, well, that's pretty cool too. And anyhow, as I always say, until next time, I said see ya.